Takže dobrý den, dámy a pánové, vítejte u dalšího videa z Warcraft 3 Reforged a jdem pokračovat zase v kampani za lidi. Teďka tady je Chapter 7, The Shores of the Northland, tak jsme minule zabili toho Melga, ne, nezabili, že abych jsme tam šli, chtěl ten Melganis. Tak teďka tam jdeme.
This is a light-forsaken land, isn't it? You can barely even see the sun. This howling wind cuts to the bone and you're not even shaking. My lord, are you all right?
Captain, are all my forces accounted for?
Nearly. There are only a few ships.
Very well. Our first priority is to set up a base camp with proper defenses. There's no telling what's waiting for us out there in the shadows. A sound plan.
I'm here to help.
For honor. Of course. Certainly.
You are past redemption.
For my father. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. Of course. A sound plan.
Justice has come.
Teď vypadalo jak taková ta zem.
Feel my wrath. You are past redemption.
Certainly. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. For honor. For honor.
Foul knave.
A sound plan. Certainly. Ice trolls.
Betrayer of the light.
For my father. Of course. Certainly.
Justice has come.
A sound plan.
You are past redemption. Betrayer of the light.
Shall be done.
Feel my wrath.
For honor. For honor.
For my father, the king. Justice has come. Foul knave. Inventory is full.
A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. A gold mine. We'll set up our base there.
We're under attack. Take cover.
Bloody hell. You're not undead. You're all alive.
Muradin? Muradin Bronzebeard, is that you?
Damn, boy. I never imagined that you'd be the one to come to our rescue.
Rescue? Muradin, I didn't even know you were here.
Oh, just the same, lad. I could use your help. My mates and I were attacked and we got separated. I'd appreciate any backup you could give me.
Of course I'll help Muradin. Let's move.
OK, takže jsme našli Muradin.
Oh, it's you! They'll never hear me coming.
Bylo by to dobrý asi co
What is your wish? I stand for the light. Certainly, of course, for honor. A sound plan.
Okay to go. Will do, Commander.
Ready to work. What? Off I go then.
Is there danger? The light is my strength. Certainly, of course, certainly, for honor. A sound plan.
Build more
work.
bombs. Let's get it on.
Certainly, of course, for honor. A sound plan. Of course, for honor. A sound plan. Certainly, of course.
What is it? All right.
Is there danger? For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course.
Feel my wrath. That's them. And they're still under attack from the undead.
Let's move, men. Those dwarves need help.
You are past that. Our town is under siege. Justice is come.
A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan.
Forward. Ready to work.
Our forces are under attack.
Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord. Right now.
Justice.
Build more walls.
What? Yes, my lord.
Of course. Of course. A sound plan.
Job's done.
Betrayer of the
Job's
light.
done.
Certainly. For honor.
Yes, my lord.
I can't build
Off I go then. Ready to work. Right now.
Build more bombs.
What is it? All right. Off I go then. Job's done. All work. All right.
Orders? Aye, my lord. Right. Of course. On my way.
Job's done. What is it? Job's done. Righto. Job's done.
Tady není moc dřeva.
What? Yes, my lord.
To je ještě jeden na ten postaví blacksmith.
Yes, my lord.
Ještě altar.
All right.
Ještě jednu ještě.
Yes, my lord. All work. What is it?
More lumber is required.
Okay.
The light is my strength. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan.
Job's done.
For honor. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. Of course.
Kdyby náhodou ještě tady jsou defense.
Yes, my lord. Off I go then.
Si už postavit ten lumber mill a hlavně i tady.
Job's done.
No, dobrý, už tady postavit
The light is my strength.
gargoylové.
Job's done. Job's done. Job's done.
Certainly. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor.
What? Righto.
More lumber is required.
More work? All right. What is it? Righto. More work? Off I go then. Job's done. Yes, me lord. Yes, me lord.
Justice shall be done. I stand for the light. More lumber is required. I'm here to help.
Aye, sir.
Is there danger? Of course. A sound plan. For honor.
Ready
a
for
sound
action.
plan.
Job's
Certainly.
done.
Of course.
Job's done. What? What? Righto.
I stand for the light.
Ready for action.
Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Of course. For my father, the king. A sound plan. Justice is done. You are past redemption. Is there danger? Certainly.
Ready for action.
For my father, the king. A sound plan.
Ready for action.
For honor.
Prayer of the light.
Upgrade complete. I'm here to help. Certainly. Of course.
Forces are under
Certainly.
attack. Lock the money. What's happening? Hard put on. Take this, you bastard. Locked and loaded.
The light is my strength. Of course.
Let's get moving.
Forces are under attack. Justice shall be done. A sound. I'm staying.
Let's do this. It's hammer time. It's hammer time. Let's do this. What's the flight plan?
Roger, we'll go.
Hello. Mobile.
More work? All right.
Let's get to fighting. Say the word. Of course.
A teďka tady ještě co zbylo. Tady teďka
Is there danger?
Foul knave, feel my wrath.
Certainly.
You are past. Feel my wrath. Foul knave.
For my father. Of course. A sound plan.
A jdeme
Certainly.
teďka se podívat
For honor.
ještě, co to vyrobí, nechal jsem to víc. Mám se teda podívat teďka
Of course. For honor. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan.
Upgrade complete.
Of course.
Yes, my
Upgrade
lord.
complete.
That has to be where Mal'Ganis is hiding. I want that base leveled.
Yes, my lord.
Justice shall be done. A sound plan. For honor. Justice has come. Certainly. A sound plan.
Upgrade
Certainly.
complete.
Of course.
Upgrade
For honor.
complete.
For honor. A sound
Zřejmě
plan.
taky chyběší.
Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. Of course. Justice is come. For honor.
Zabijeme.
A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. You are better for my father, the king. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Betrayal of the light.
Get it if you want it.
Come on.
On our way.
Gotta go. Of course. Certainly. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly.
Chtěl by to trošku
Of course. For my father.
Our forces are under attack.
Feel my will. For honor. A sound plan.
Samou strašně.
For honor. Of course. Certainly. A sound. For honor. Justice.
Ready and
Betrayal of the light.
what's happening?
I'm here to help.
Let's get
I will stand. The light is my strength. Certainly. A sound plan. You are past redemption. Justice has come. Betrayer of the light. Foul name. Ready for action. For my father, the king. Feel my wrath. Ready for action. You are past redemption. For my father, the king. Justice has come. Of course. Betrayer of light. Ready for action. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Certainly.
I am ready.
Počká,
I am honored.
mám málo životů.
Justice shall be done. He's going. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. A sound
Ready for
plan.
action.
Foul. Of course.
How may I serve?
I'm here to help. You are past. Justice is come. For my father.
You have a target?
I stand
I'm your suitor.
for honor. Of course. For honor. Certainly.
Betrayer of the light.
Establish Mal'Ganis, destroy Mal'Ganis base. No, to už jsem to teďka skoro
Feel my wrath.
You are past.
cinematic.
All right, Bird. What were you doing up here anyway?
Well, lad, there's an ancient waygate that lies somewhere in this glacial wasteland. Supposedly it transports you to a hidden vault where a ruined lady named Frostmourne is held. We came here to recover Frostmourne, but the closer we came to finding the waygate, the more undead we encountered.
Gonzalez, we haven't found any trace of Mal'Ganis.
No matter. He can't hide from me. Captain, I want you to establish this site as our primary base.
Yes, my lord.
The shores of the Northrend. Continue. Tak kdo tady ten slapek v té. Jo, ten jak nám přijde říct,
I
jo.
apologize, emissary, but the prince is away on an errand. What brings you to this desolate place?
By royal edict, you men are to return to Lord Aran immediately. Lord Uther has convinced the king to recall this expedition.
We're to just pick up and leave?
That's correct. My men report that the roads from here to the shore are held by the undead. You'll need to find an alternate route back to your ships.
To hell with the undead. We'll cut our way through the woods, man.
Captain, why are the guards not at their posts?
Well, my lord, your father had our troops recalled at Lord Uther's request.
Uther had my troops recalled? Damn it! If my warriors abandon me, I'll never defeat Mal'Ganis. The ships must be burned before the men reach the shore.
Isn't that a bit much, lad?
Burned down to their frames. No one goes home until our job here is done.
Když se to tam spálit, no, okay.
I stand for the light.
Destroy the ships.
A sound plan. Of course, for honor. A sound plan. We'll need more men to fight our way through the undead.
I've come across a few mercenary camps up here. Perhaps we can hire a few of them.
A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course.
Betrayer of the light.
Certainly.
Show us a target.
Justice shall be done. A sound plan.
Okay. Musím počkat, až tady ten sápek
Certainly.
nebude
For
pomalej.
honor. Of course. Certainly. Foul knave. Feel my wrath. Of course. A sound plan. For my father, the king. Foul knave. You are past.
Půl hodiny.
Certainly. For
Nice,
honor.
štve, že jak zabili
A sound
toho
plan.
cápečka, prostě
Of course.
neměl mečík úplně
Certainly.
chodil
For
úplně.
honor. Of course.
Okay, nice, tady
Damn
vlastně.
Uther for forcing me to do this.
I kill for you.
I'm here to help. A sound plan. For honor.
Ty prísty,
Of
co
course.
jsou hodně dobrý.
A sound
Jsem
plan.
říkal, že bych je chtěl.
Certainly. A
Počkej,
sound
mám
plan.
už je dobrý.
Betrayer of the light.
Certainly. Of course. Sound plan. Of course. Feel my wrath. For honor.
Podej.
Light is my strength. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. Foul name. Certainly. For my father. Justice has come. Of course. For honor. Certainly. You are past. Of course. Justice has come. For honor. Feel my
Inteligence
Is there
nevím,
danger?
ta inteligence. Nevím. Sypet,
Justice
fajn.
shall be done.
Věci, že má
Betrayer of the
lepší,
light.
co já vím. Tady to je, si myslím, že jsem už nějak
A sound plan. For my father, the
tady to
king.
máme Aha, já jsem
Very
říkal,
good.
já si
But there
nevím.
are still more ships to deal with.
A sound plan.
Tady má, jo, ono je to na
For honor.
čas.
Of course.
Aha, tak musím
Certainly.
najít.
For honor. Of course.
To proběhlo
Certainly.
ani
A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. You are past the Certainly. Certainly.
Show us a target. Beat them. It's on!
Of course.
That's more like
A sound plan. For honor. For honor.
12, to je
Of
instant.
course. A A sound plan. Certainly.
Betrayer!
Potion of green.
Certainly. For honor.
Ty to jako takhle dobře a teď
For my
přázíš.
father the king. Of course. A sound
Já jich
plan.
budu teď
Justice has come.
Lorder Navy.
For honor. Of course.
A tady je Mercenary Campus. Jsou tady High Order Magic a je Stronger.
I kill for you.
I stand for the light.
Takže dobrý.
A sound plan.
Tady je Huntsman a
Is there danger?
Feel my wrath. I'm here to help.
Night Traveler.
Stand.
Get on with it!
400 ogrů.
The light is my strength. Certainly.
Co mi to přidalo, to fakt nevím. Jenom taky jednu takovou svou vylepšení, tak
Of course.
jdem dál.
For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. Of course. Of course. Certainly. For honor. A sound
Že
plan.
jak mi chcíp ten jeden minometček.
Certainly.
Co je nahoru.
For honor. A sound plan. Of course.
Jo, aha, tak já to
Justice
nebudu
shall be done.
střílet. Jenom tady
Off we go! For all my homies!
těma
Sounds
týpama.
good! That'll be a blast!
Jsou prostě psychopati, co se chválej.
Off we go! That'll be a blast! For all my homies!
Že tady
What's
vyjedu.
happening?
Ti sem to budu.
Sounds good!
Justice shall be done. For honor.
Yes, what?
You're kind of slow for a human, aren't you?
The light is my strength. A sound plan. Certainly.
Běž tam skřete.
What you looking at?
I stand for the light.
Primed and ready! For all my homies!
Odbouchni to.
That'll be a blast! Off we
Dělej.
go!
Is there danger?
Of course.
Jsem 16 minut a ještě 2 lidi. To doufám, že stihnu. A já jsem si
For honor. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly.
OK. Tropic
More gold is required. More gold is required.
I'm here to help. For honor. Of course.
I kill for you.
More gold is required.
Jsou to ještě 200. Teď je víc zlata. 200 gold. A jim tak to
The
dáme
light
snad
is my
nějak
strength.
zatím.
A sound plan.
Ty jsou
A sound
průdrejkové
plan.
dva.
Of course. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan.
Tak
Of
jdeme.
course. For honor.
Nesmíme ztrácet
Certainly.
čas. Co je tady to? OK, ten nějaký taková věž, nebo jsou všude věže. Co jako mám dělat? Tak to jak proběhnu, ne? Skoro to... Co nevím, jak mám dělat.
A sound
Prostě
plan.
pak proběhnu.
Certainly. Of course. A sound
Our
plan.
forces are
For
under
honor.
attack.
For honor. A sound plan.
To je docela...
Certainly. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. Of course. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Well done. Only one ship remains. A sound
okej,
plan.
to dá.
Feel my wrath.
Tak já
Certainly.
to rovnou použiju tady to, protože strategie. Dáme hrát
Of course. Of course. Justice is come. Certainly. A sound. For my father, the king. Betrayer of the light. You are past redemption.
The bronze beards! Take this, you bastard!
And myself. And myself.
Justice has come. You are past redemption. For my father, the king. Betrayer of the light. For honor.
What you want? Stay cool. What you want?
I stand for the light.
Bring it on.
I'm here to help. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Foul knave. Of course. Feel my wrath. A sound plan. You are past. For honor. Betrayal of the light. Certainly. A sound.
Stay cool.
Is there danger? For honor.
What you want? Cool. I go. I see. Djibouti.
The light is my strength. Justice has come. I'm here to help. Of course. For my father, the king.
Our forces are under attack.
Of course. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Feel my wrath. Foul knave.
Ještě mám vlastně toho liberáta taky střílet.
Stay cool.
Justice shall be done.
Burn the boats. Main quest complete. Nice, nice.
Prince Arthas.
Quickly, my warriors! These murderous creatures have burned our ships and robbed you of your way home. Slay them all in the name of Lordaeron.
Damn beasts.
Kill them all!
Nevím, proč to bylo bez vítěze.
Our ships are ruined. What will we do now?
Listen to me, all of you. There is no way home for any of us save through victory. In this land, we will stand or fall together. Now, return to the base and man your posts.
Nice, nice. Decision. Nice. Frostmourne Chapter 9.
You lied to your men and betrayed the mercenaries who fought for you.
What's happening to you, Arthas? Is vengeance all that's important to you?
Spare me, Muradin. You weren't there to see what Mal'Ganis did to my homeland.
The Dark Lord said you would come. This is where your journey ends, boy. Trapped and freezing at the roof of the world, with only death to sing the tale of your doom.
This looks bad. We're completely surrounded.
There's still one chance. Help me claim Frostmourne. If it's as powerful as you said, it might tilt the scales in our favor.
I have a bad feeling
Já
about this,
doufám, že
lad.
nám teďka nebude.
But I promised I'd see this through.
Že by to bylo na nic, že bychom tam s tím Artasem museli chodit a zároveň...
Captain, I'll leave you to organize our defense. Let's move out.
Okay, je to, že to asi budeme hlídat, no. Tady to nebude potřeba, ale tady jo, docela si myslím, teda se budu vědět. Tady taky to bude muset vědět, jo, tak to nenechám.
I stand for the light. Of course. Certainly. For honor. Justice has come.
Tady, co se dá, je first roll for charge.
A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Certainly.
Betrayer of the light.
For my father, the king. Certainly.
Our forces are under attack. Our town is under siege. You are past my death.
Of course.
Feel my
What do you need?
Aye. Time to go.
Our forces are under attack.
I'm ready. How may I serve?
The light is my strength.
A sound plan. For honor. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan.
Nice.
For honor. Certainly. Of course.
Foul knave.
Wendigo šaman. To není
Justice has come. Betrayer of the light. Let's do this.
For honor.
Feel my wrath.
Of course. A sound plan.
I'm your sugar. I'll take care of it.
A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. For honor. For honor. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. For honor. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan.
Vrejt.
Of course.
Tady tak
Of
nás
course.
atakovali.
For honor.
You are past my
Capce
death.
se presně hlásila.
Father, the king. Certainly.
Betrayer of the light.
A sound plan. For my father, the king.
Feel my wrath.
For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. For honor. For honor. Certainly.
Turn back, mortals. Death and darkness are all that await you in this forsaken vault.
I doubt there's anything down here more terrifying than what we've faced already.
Believe what you will, boy. You shall not pass.
I stand.
It's summer time.
Shall be done. A sound. Of course.
Turn away, before it's too late.
Still trying to protect the sword, are you?
No. Trying to protect you from it.
A sound plan. For honor. Behold, Muradin, our salvation. Frostmourne.
Halt, lad. There's an inscription on the dais. It's a warning. It says, "Whomsoever takes up this blade shall wield power eternal. Just as the blade rends flesh, so must power scar the spirit." Oh, I should have known. The blade is cursed. Let's get the hell out of here.
I would gladly bear any curse to save my homeland.
Leave it be, Arthas. Forget this business and lead your men home.
Damn the men! Nothing shall prevent me from having my revenge, old friend. Justice shall be done. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. For honor. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. For my father the king.
What is your wish?
I stand for the light. Certainly. For honor. Of course. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. Justice is calm. Prayer of the light. For honor. I await your command. Of course. I'm here to help. Inventory is down. Feel my wrath. For honor, foul name. The light. I await your command. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. Is there danger? Of course.
For honor. Certainly. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. You are past redemption. I await your commands. Justice has come. Certainly. I stand for the light. I await your command. I'm here to help. Of course, for honor. Of course, justice shall be done. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly.
Nice.
Of course. For honor. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. For honor. Betrayer of God. Feel my heart. You are past redemption. A sound plan. Foul knave. I await your command. Feel my wrath. For my father. I'm here to help. Of course, for honor. Certainly. A sound plan. A sound plan. Is there danger? The light is my strength. Justice shall be done. Of course. For honor. Certainly. For honor. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. You are past redemption. For honor. Prayer of light. Justice has come. Feel my wrath. A sound plan. Certainly. Locked and loaded. Not enough. Forces are under attack. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. I stand for the light. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Locked and loaded. What do you need? Is there danger? Certainly. For my father, the king. Our forces are under attack. For honor. You are past redemption. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. Our forces are under attack. A sound plan. Of course.
pár jedno, tak já si nic dělám. Tady to dělat. Dáme si.
Certainly.
Asi tady jdeme na Raps tady. Dáme si to na Ardos, to na Ardos, tady přidají finalni. Další se
The light is my strength. For honor. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. Foul knave. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. Betrayer of the light. For honor. For my father. Of course. You are past
healovat, protože já nechci.
a sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Justice shall be done.
Když se mi tankuju.
Feel my wrath.
Locked and loaded!
Nice, ať jsem.
I stand for the light. Certainly. Of course.
Aye, sir!
I'm here to help. The light is my strength. For honor. Sound plan.
Tady těch riflemen.
I stand for the light.
Já musím
Certainly.
tady.
Is there danger? For honor. A sound plan.
Locked and loaded!
Of course. A sound plan.
Ty riflemen už sprintí.
Locked and loaded!
For
Nice,
honor.
takže teďka jdeme
Of course.
Betrayer of the light.
Já sem asi nepůjdu, jestli to nebudu Destroy Malvers. Aha, tak on si začíná.
Forces are under attack. Betrayer of the light. For Lord, our town is under siege. Our forces are under attack.
Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. Certainly.
Get down, Sparky.
More gold. Our forces are under the town is under siege. Be gone, spawn of darkness.
Now feel my wrath. By the power of the light, burn.
Our forces
Feel
are
my
under
wrath.
attack.
My ace light. By the power of the light, burn. Of course.
Our forces are under attack.
I'm here to help. Feel my wrath. Of course.
I await
A
your
sound
command.
plan. For honor. Of course. A sound plan.
Ještě jsem, ještě mi zbylo na jednu.
Certainly.
Locked and
For
loaded!
honor. A sound plan. I stand for the light. Certainly. For honor. Of course. For my father. Foul. Justice. course, a sound plan. Certainly, for honor. Certainly, of course.
More gold is required. More gold is required.
Počkám si, tady přijdu, nebo mám tam už tečka. Nevím. Chvíli počkám, ještě si tady vytrénu jednoho footmana. Jen tak, no. Tak to ty lezou hodně pomalu teda. No tak nice.
I await your
A
command.
sound plan. A sound plan.
Doufám, že jo, je tady pořád ten forest. No, já jsem nechtěla.
Of course. Certainly.
I await your command.
For honor.
Tady je docela pěkný kodíš. To je asi vyhrál.
Sound
I await your command. You are past. Feel my wrath.
for my father, the king.
Betrayer of the light. Ready for action. More gold is required. Justice is come. Ready for action.
For honor. I'm here to help. For my father.
Sire? Yes, my dear.
Is there danger?
Betrayer of the light. Feel my wrath.
Certainly. For honor.
Jestli to ještě si to odpraskněte ty gargoyle.
Of course.
Čitají to jen to
A sound plan.
Jo, tady v tom se vyrábí gargoyle.
Of course.
Už tam gargoyle.
You are past. Justice is come. Feel my wrath. Justice is
Is there danger?
Certainly. A sound plan.
You are past its end. Foul save.
For my father, the king.
Betrayer. More gold is required.
I'm here to help. Father.
Ready for action. Feel my wrath. Ready for action.
Další footman tady na pomoc.
Betrayer of the light.
A sound plan. Foul. You are past. Justice has come. You are past. Foul. Of course. Feel my wrath for my father and king. Betrayer of light. Feel my wrath. You are past. For my father and king. The light. Betrayer of light. Justice has
So, you've taken up Frostborn at the expense of your comrades' lives, just as the Dark Lord said you would. You're stronger than I thought.
You waste your breath, Mal'Ganis. I heed only the voice of Frostmourne now.
You hear the voice of the Dark Lord. He whispers to you through the blade you wield. What does he say, young human? What does the Dark Lord of the Dead tell you now?
He tells me that the time for my vengeance has come.
What? He can't possibly be...
It is finished.
Okej, nice, to jest tutaj tak sorry. Saying so. Upon Mal'Ganis brings out this wonderment of into frozen western to my way forward. To know so many things are the slow to last. Vestiges of his sanity, no driving by the sword's dark will artist needs to make a war. It's just a word. Nice, nice, že jsme to už asi dodělali. No tady to je všechno. Čau, čau.